Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. Every single management consultant, after working for a few years at McKinsey, BCG, Bain, they have at least 2 to 3 job offers on hand. Now, why do you think that is the scenario? Please share your answers in the comments box. I would love to read them. It is definitely not just about the brand. It has to do a lot with the skills that these guys are picking up at work. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 such super important skills that you can also pick up, apply in your career and grow forward, right? Please watch this video till the very end. These skills are going to be super important and they have the potential to transform your career. I'm going to talk about what the skill is and where and how you can actually learn these skills and apply in your careers. So let's get started with the first skill that I'm talking about. This is nothing but structured thinking. Well, structured thinking by definition sounds very simple. It is nothing but your ability to basically take a complex problem and then simplify into smaller portions so that the other person can understand and also act on that. If we take an example, imagine you walking into a Kirana store and the Kirana store owner tells you, "Hey Pavan, I'm running this Kirana store right now at deep losses. Can you please help me improve the situation?" After a lot of clarifying questions, after getting a lot of data and doing a lot of data analysis, you go back to the Kirana store owner and tell him or her that, "Hey, by the way, these are the 9 or 10 things that you can do to improve the performance of your Kirana store. Offer discounts, go ahead and open the store for longer hours, probably you can renegotiate your deal with your landlord regarding the rent, so on and so forth." By the time you communicate the 10th point, the Kirana store owner is already forgetting the first 9 points. Let's look quickly into what these 10 points could be and how we can transform in a structured way so that the other person can remember it. Well, these could be the 9 points that the Kirana store owner could implement. Home delivery, discounts, increasing the inventory, opening the store early and closing it late, negotiating the rent with the landlord, so on and so forth. As I mentioned, very hard to remember these things. Now, if you make a slight modification to this and structure your thought process a little differently and say that, "Hey, by the way, Kirana store owner, why don't you think about implementing 3 things? Number 1 is around marketing, number 2 is around operations, and number 3 is around reducing costs. In the marketing space, you do these 3 things: discounts, distribute pamphlets, and see if you can do home deliveries. Operations, you open early, close late, you change the display items at the counter, and probably think about additional support staff for faster service. And in the cost, negotiate rents with landlords and manage the credit cycles." Now, what are you doing here? You are just taking the previous list and giving it a structure so that the other person can remember it and act on it. This is structured communication, structured thinking, structured problem solving, whatever way you call it. This is a very important skill that will help you in the corporate world. And how can you develop it? It sounds very easy, but it requires a lot of practice. There are 2 ways in which you can develop this skill. Number 1, by practicing a lot of case interview questions. Now, you don't need to be preparing for management consulting interviews to practice case questions. I'm listing down 40 publicly available case questions in the description box. Please go through them and please practice these case questions, which can help you become more structured in your thought process. That is number 1. The second thing is reading articles on McKinsey, BCG, Bain websites. Now, I personally believe all these articles are structured and written in a fantastic way. And this gives you an understanding of, hey, how you can structure your thoughts as well. Well, I'm also listing down my 3 favorite articles on the MBB websites from the last week. Please go give it a read. Now, these 2 things, if you continue to do them day in and day out for the next couple of months, your structured thinking is at least good to get started with. Now, moving on to the second skill. The second skill that I want to talk about is short form communication or elevator pitch. In this day and age, when we can't even wait for 5 seconds to press on that skip ad, acing corporate communications is almost impossible, right? And that is where elevator pitches come in. What is the definition of this elevator pitch? Sounds like a super complicated word, right? No. Elevator pitch is nothing but, hey, if you meet your CEO in an elevator and you have 30 to 60 seconds of talking time with your CEO, what points do you want to cover? You can't say that, hey, I've opened an Excel, I've done the analysis in Excel, it took a lot of time. No, you need to cut all that information and you need to say the most important things that you need to communicate in 30 to 60 seconds. That is nothing but an elevator pitch. Short, crisp, and the most important points that you want to communicate. Well, you might say that, hey, I'm working out of home. I don't need to go meet my CEO. So this elevator pitch is of no importance for me. No, elevator pitch, the name is elevator pitch, but you can apply it even in your interviews. You can apply when you go and talk to recruiters, so on and so forth, right? Every single place, you need to come up with a short, crisp, and everything important that you want to cover. Now, what's the most important thing behind this elevator pitch? Number one is the context. Who are you going to talk to? If I'm talking to an investor, my elevator pitch is completely different from if I'm talking to a recruiter. In the case of recruiter, I would propose these three things. Number one, your introduction. Number two, relevant skills. And number three, next steps. If I were to introduce myself to a recruiter from a management consulting company, I would say, hey, my name is Pawan Satiraju. I'm an ex-McKinsey consultant, so I have a lot of consulting background. And I've also done consulting projects in the space of digital marketing, supply chain, procurement, so on and so forth. And I've been honing my communication and also my technical skills over the last few years by working on side projects as well. I would really appreciate getting an interview invite from your company. If you can share your email address, I would be happy to share my resume, right? That's it. I don't want to talk much. Probably this is not the best elevator pitch, but the point I want to say is that, hey, these are the three things, and these three things are some things which you need to practice again and again and again. Elevator pitch is not going to come up clean, beautiful in one single day. You have to practice a lot. You stand in front of the mirror and talk about yourself, talk about your skills, and talk about, hey, what the next steps are continuously, and your elevator pitch would improve. If I'm talking to investor, however, my elevator pitch would change. I would talk not about my previous experience at McKinsey, but I would talk about my previous experiences as an entrepreneur, right? So please make sure that your elevator pitch is not constant across any of these situations. So that's skill number two. The third skill that I want to talk about is networking. As a consultant, you are going and talking to new clients once every 8 weeks. You are going into a new environment. You are going to build new relationships, and this becomes a skill again of paramount importance. Now you might say again, hey, I don't go and meet my clients, so is this skill important? Absolutely. Networking has become super easy. You can sit at your home, you can do a Zoom call, and you can meet as many people as possible. You can go to LinkedIn, you can drop 200 messages, and you can probably get 20, 30, 40 responses, whatever it is, right? So with these number of opportunities available for you to network, it is becoming again important for you to be better at networking so that you can actually talk to somebody. So what are the things that go into networking? Number one, the first and the foremost important thing, you need to have genuine interest in the other person that you are talking to, right? For example, if you are interested in cracking a job at Facebook, Amazon, the FANG companies, right? We recently conducted a webinar, and in that webinar, we invited a guest, Prateek Saxena, who is currently working at FANG companies. Now, you can go ahead and drop a note to Prateek and say, hey Prateek, thank you so much for taking that session. I would love to keep in touch with you. Now, rather than that, if you can probably personalize it a bit more, right? Go to his LinkedIn profile. Now, let's do that right now. Go to his LinkedIn profile and see that, hey, he's working with Amazon. You will know his job. He's a senior program manager. Oh, that's very interesting that he worked as in the analytics company, Mu Sigma. And a lot of skill endorsements are in the space of analytics. So you now know that, hey, Prateek is not only working for FANG companies, but he has a background in analytics, right? So you can probably personalize the note a bit more and say, hey, thanks Prateek for taking out your time to come and share your insights. I'm also having data analytics background. I'm looking to crack FANG companies. Looking forward to learn a lot from you. Thank you. Right? You add a bit more personalization context, and that comes from your genuine interest to know more about that other individual. Right? That is number one. The second thing, after networking, please do not ignore the thank you notes. It sounds super simple, but out of 100 people that I meet in any given webinar, I get thank you notes from 2 to 3 people, and I definitely make it a point to reply to these people. Right? I remember their names, I acknowledge their email, so on and so forth, right? It is not very common. It's a simple thing, but still people do not do it. I would highly recommend you to make sure that you close the loop on communication. And going forward, after 2-3 months, you can again go back to Pratik and say, hey Pratik, by the way, this is what I have learned from you in the last 3 months, and I have probably taken your some suggestions, and now I've improved my profile, and now I'm looking forward to apply for this role. Can you please give me a reference? That's a much better context than coming out yourself and saying what you want to say for the first time after 3-4 months. So these skills are not necessarily about, hey, do you really have that skill right from day one in your corporate career? But these 3 skills are about, hey, improving, developing, taking your time out and honing these skills. So these 3 skills are not about, hey, whether you have them from day one or not, but it is all about practice. I hope you guys take out time for practice and make sure that you are using them in the right way possible. Thank you so much, guys. I hope this video was helpful. If you want me to make similar such videos, please go ahead and mention it in the comments box. Would love to make these kind of videos going forward. Thank you so much again and take care.